Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here for today's training on STEAM sterilization, performance, and monitoring process. My name is Rovil, and I will be your training instructor for today. Here are the objectives for today: importance of the monitoring STEAM sterilization process, how the monitoring process adheres to the standards, and to learn how to interpret results of monitoring process. Why do we need to do the monitoring process and who are involved? First is to ensure that the staff have the knowledge on how to conduct performance checks and interpret results that confirm the sterilizer is operating correctly and that all parameters are achieved to produce safe RMDs for patient use and to prevent hospital acquired infections. Second, who are involved in this process? That would be the CSSD technician, CSSD coordinators, and the CSSD manager. Now, let's proceed on the monitoring of steam sterilization process. According to the standards, sterilizing equipment should be checked to ensure that it is functioning as intended each day prior to the sterilization of RMDs. On your right side is the table where you can see what is the minimum requirement for routine monitoring and control of sterilization process are. In this case, we are pertaining to the first column of the table, which is the large steam sterilizer. As we go along, I will discuss how the performance test meets the minimum requirements of the standards. First performance test would be the leak rate test. Leak rate test should be completed prior to the Bowie-Dick test cycle. The leak rate test should be completed once a week as the standard's minimum requirement if an air detector system is fitted. And, and if there is no air detector system in the sterilizer, the leak rate test should be done daily as per standards. Why? If the sterilizer has high leak rate result, the Bowie-Dick test may fail because the vacuum needed for air removal and steam penetration will be compromised. How to start a leak rate test and interpret the result. First, select the cycle and press OK to start from the control panel. Then, record the test cycle and number sticker. How to check if the cycle number is correct. The staff should check the last cycle number recorded in the logbook. And also, the staff should make sure to record the cycle on the correct logbook. When the cycle is completed, check the leak rate result printout. And if the result is less than 0.5 mbar, the result is passed. And if it reaches 0.5 mbar to 0.12 mbar, the staff need to inform the coordinator or the manager about the result. And the manager will contact the contracted engineer to check the sterilizers. Why? To prevent an impending issue of the sterilizer like leakage in the plumbing system or in the door seals of the chambers. If the staff have received a failed result of 0.13 mbar or more, inform the manager and put an out of order sign on the particular sterilizer that have failed a leak rate result and wait for the contracted engineer to fix the sterilizers. Now we move to the second performance test, the Bowie-Dick test. It's a daily air or non-condensable gas removal and steam penetration test. The Bowie-Dick test should be completed daily as per standards minimum requirement. The Bowie-Dick test pack that will be used on the cycle should conform to the international standards ISO 11140, Series 3, 4, and 5. This test can detect air leaks, inadequate air removal, and steam penetration for pre-vacuum sterilizers. How to start a Bowie-Dick test and interpret the result. First, take a Bowidic test pack and put a cycle sticker number. Then record the test cycle and the cycle sticker number in the logbook for documentation. After that, place in the bottom tier near the drain because it is the most challenging part of the sterilizer for a Bowidic test pack. This is where air is most likely to be trapped, creating a hard to reach areas for steam. The test pack is designed to challenge steam's ability to penetrate these difficult areas, ensuring the steam is saturated and can adequately sterilize a load. After the cycle has finished, check the Bowidic test pack chemical indicator and inside Bowidic test chemical indicator for color changes from blue to pink. This indicates that the steam has fully penetrated the test pack and efficiently removed air and non-condensable gases from the sterilizer. But if you have a failed result of Bowidic test, a partial to no color change of the Bowidic test chemical indicator. As you can see on the photo below the unprocessed Bowidic test pack, this indicates that the steam penetration is compromised by the air and non-condensable gases inside the chamber. For printout of the Bowidic test cycle, check the sterilization phase for exposure time of 3.5 minutes and temperature of 134 degrees Celsius. And if you experience a Bowidic test fail, run another 2 Bowidic tests to confirm that there's something wrong in the sterilizer. And then put an out of order sign and inform the manager to call the engineer for the sterilizer. Next performance test would be the air detector function test. It's a cycle where the sterilizer introduces air or non-condensable gas to the chamber at a certain level that could interrupt the cycle when the air detector system alarms. This indicates that the steam can penetrate on the chamber due to high level of NCG or non-condensable gases. This also indicates that the air detector system is working properly. The air detector should be completed once a week as the standard's minimum requirement if the sterilizer is fitted of an air detector system. The last performance test of the pre-vacuum sterilizer is an air detector function test or BD function test as labeled in the Bellimed sterilizer. First thing is to choose the cycle, which is the air detector function test or Bowidic function test. Then press OK to start the cycle. Next would be record the cycle and the cycle number sticker in the logbook. After the sterilizer should alarm after 50 minutes and it will says an air detect failure on the sterilizer, which means it indicates that the increased level of air or non-condensable gas in the sterilization phase. Record the result and the printout in the logbook. Then, the failed cycle of the sterilizer means it's passed, meaning the air detector system is working properly. But if the cycle passed in an air detector function test, means it indicates that there is something wrong in the air detector system of the sterilizer and should inform the CSSD coordinator or manager to contact the engineers of the sterilizers and place an out of order sign until the engineers arrive and to fix some issues of the sterilizer. After the performance test cycles have completed and passed, now we can proceed to the instrument cycle or heavy instrument cycle. To meet the standards of instrument cycle, each of every RMDs or reusable medical device processed through instrument cycle should check the product package integrity. Now let's move on. How to start and assess instrument cycle and what to check. First, you need to record the RMDs. While recording the RMDs, proper arrangement of RMDs is heavy at the bottom, which means all rigid containers and heavy wrap RMD sets should place on the bottom shelf of the trolley, and light RMDs at the top, including the Steripils. Make sure the correct cycle is selected and started for the sterilization of RMD. When cycle is completed, assess the product package for integrity. What to check in product package integrity? That would be for moisture, damage in the wrap or Steripil pouches or rigid containers, the seals of the rigid containers, and also color changes for the external chemical indicators. Then next is to check the printout. What to check in the printout? Cycle type, cycle number, cycle parameter in the sterilization phase if met, and what would be the sterilization parameters? That would be 5 minutes of exposure time and the temperature of 134 degrees Celsius. When it meets the cycle parameter, you can now approve the cycle and sign and date the printout. Now, record the printout and sign the logbook. Now your sterilized RMDs or reusable medical device is ready for release. If wet load is found or damage to wrap or failed external chemical indicator, fail the particular load in the logbook and write the reason and location in the trolley, then isolate the load. And what to do next? You need to open the failed sterilized RMD and put back again to the decontamination for reprocessing. Next would be inform the coordinator and manager for wet load and an out of order place on the autoclave and issue can be investigated. Here are some of my reference in the training session. Thank you for participating on today's training session. I hope everything was easy to understand. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email and I will get back to you. Thank you and have a great day.